Close your eyes and imagine it is 1955. The family is gathered in a shiny, pastel-colored kitchen. There is a roast in the oven, a Jell-O mold wobbling proudly on the table, and a casserole bubbling away with crispy onions on top. The 1950s were a golden age of food innovation, convenience, and colorful creations, but not every dish stood the test of time. Some became beloved classics, while others quietly disappeared. Today we are exploring the foods that defined the 1950s but have since vanished from our tables. These dishes are more than just recipes. They're snapshots of an optimistic post-war America. And while some may look strange to modern eyes, they tell the story of a generation and its kitchens. 1. Jell-O molds with vegetables. If one food screams 1950s, it is the Jell-O mold. From savory tomato aspics with celery and olives, to lime gelatin packed with shredded carrots, these shimmering towers were the centerpiece of many dinners. The wobble was entertainment, the colors were dazzling, but the flavors, at least by today's standards, were questionable. By the 1980s, gelatin salads had become more joke than delicacy, and they disappeared from most tables. 2. Crown jewel dessert. This was a layered Jell-O dessert filled with cubes of different colored gelatin suspended in whipped cream. It looked like stained glass and was often the pride of the hostess. Beautiful but time-consuming, it vanished as simpler desserts became popular. 3. Spam casseroles. Spam was a wartime staple that carried into the 1950s. Families baked it into casseroles with potatoes, beans, or pineapple slices on top. Today, spam still exists, but is rarely used in American casseroles. The dish feels like a relic of frugality and post-war abundance. 4. Chicken a la king. A creamy dish made of chicken, mushrooms, and peppers in a rich sauce, served over toast or rice. It was restaurant fancy, but also a go-to home recipe. By the 1980s, it was considered heavy and old-fashioned, and it quietly disappeared. 5. Tuna noodle casserole. This was one of the quintessential 1950s comfort foods. Egg noodles, canned tuna, cream of mushroom soup, and crushed potato chips or crackers on top. It was cheap, easy, and filling, but the reliance on canned fish and soup mix fell out of favor with modern cooks. 6. Salisbury steak TV dinners. The 1950s were the birth of TV dinners. Salisbury steak with peas, mashed potatoes, and apple cobbler was a standard frozen meal. While TV dinners still exist, the novelty is gone, and Salisbury steak has largely disappeared from mainstream kitchens. 7. Cabbage casseroles. Cabbage was inexpensive and hearty. Homemakers baked it with cheese, cream, or sometimes ground beef. But as tastes shifted toward lighter vegetables and fresher cooking, cabbage casseroles faded away. 8. Pineapple upside-down cake. This colorful cake, topped with rings of canned pineapple and bright red maraschino cherries, was the height of 1950s charm. While it still pops up at retro parties, it is far from the staple dessert it once was. 9. Meatloaf with ketchup glaze. Meatloaf was the working-class hero of the 1950s. Ground beef mixed with breadcrumbs. Onions and eggs, topped with a glossy ketchup glaze. Though meatloaf still exists, it no longer dominates family dinners the way it once did. 10. Chiffon pies. Chiffon pies, light and airy with gelatin fillings, were trendy in the 1950s. Lemon, strawberry, and even chocolate chiffon pies graced many tables. Today, they are rare outside of old cookbooks. 11. Ham and banana hollandaise. Yes, this was real. Bananas wrapped in slices of ham, baked with mustard, and topped with hollandaise sauce. It was considered exotic and creative at the time, but to modern palates, it seems downright bizarre. Needless to say, it vanished. 12. Cabbage Jell-O salad. A combination of shredded cabbage, vinegar, lemon Jell-O, and celery meant to be refreshing and crunchy. By the 1970s, this strange salad had become a punchline rather than a proud dish. 13. Chicken tetrazzine, a baked pasta casserole with chicken, mushrooms, and creamy sauce, topped with breadcrumbs. It was popular in the 1950s. But as American pasta tastes shifted to Italian-American classics like lasagna and spaghetti, tetrazzine slipped into obscurity. 14. Ambrosia salad, canned fruit, shredded coconut, marshmallows, and whipped cream. This salad was a sweet side dish at many 1950s gatherings. While some Southern families still enjoy it, it is far less common than it once was. 15. Deviled ham sandwich spread. Canned deviled ham spread, often mixed with mayonnaise, was a staple for sandwiches and quick snacks. Today it feels more like a survival food than a party spread, and its popularity has dwindled. 16. Liver and onions. Organ meats were common in the 1950s. Liver, with onions, was both economical and considered nutritious. Modern tastes shifted away from strong-flavored organ meats, leaving liver mostly forgotten. 17. Molded shrimp aspic. Shrimp suspended in tomato-flavored gelatin was considered fancy in the 1950s. Two modern diners. It is more horror show than delicacy, which is why it disappeared quickly after its peak. 18. Corned beef hash casserole. Canned corned beef, potatoes, and cream baked into a casserole. It was hearty and inexpensive, but fell out of favor as fresh meat became more available. 19. Icebox cake. Layers of cookies and whipped cream chilled overnight created a cake-like dessert. It was popular for its simplicity and no-bake appeal. Today, it has been replaced by more modern no-bake desserts. 20. Perfection salad. A molded gelatin salad, made with cabbage, carrots, and celery, served as a side dish. It was colorful but strange, and by the 1970s, it was history. 21. Baked Alaska. This elaborate dessert cake topped with ice cream, covered in meringue, and baked quickly was a 1950s dinner party showstopper. It required skill and showmanship, which is why it is rarely seen today. 22. Chipped beef on toast, SOS, a holdover from wartime. Chipped beef in white gravy served over toast was common in the 1950s. By the late 20th century, it became military nostalgia more than a household dish. 23. Stuffed celery with cream cheese and olives. This was a go-to appetizer. Crisp celery stalks, stuffed with cream cheese, and garnished with olives or nuts. Today, it has been replaced by fancier hors d'oeuvres. 24. Jell-O 7-layer salad. Another gelatin marvel with layers of vegetables, cheese, and dressing suspended in bright colors. It was admired in its day but mocked in later decades. 25. Creamed chipped eggs on toast. Eggs in white sauce, poured over toast, were a common budget-friendly meal. Simple but bland, it disappeared as more flavorful breakfasts became popular. The 1950s were a time of optimism, creativity, and convenience. From brightly colored Jell-O molds to casseroles topped with potato chips, these foods defined an era. But as tastes changed, many of them vanished. Yet they still hold an important place in history, reminders of a generation that embraced innovation, hospitality, and the joy of gathering around the table. So which of these dishes have you heard of or even tasted? Do you dare to try ham and banana hollandaise? Let us know in the comments.